That's right. You see that correctly. That said prologue. Because, let me show you, this stack right here of papers, let me get down over here. Hi, Arlo. This is going to be the thumbnail image. Yuckies! Because my dog is a very important part of my life. So I love him, even though he licks my face all the time. Good boy, good boy. Go finish your dinner. This right here, this stack of papers, 232 pages of my official first draft for a novel that I wrote. And just saying it is pretty crazy because it took a while for me to get here. And I made a video earlier today. However, the microphone that I use died about halfway through. So it wasn't even worth it at that point. But you know what? I think now is an even better time to record this because my thoughts are clearer on it all. And I got my exercise finished. We did about 3.5 miles to the park today. We just got back. He's having his dinner. I'm having mine. So cheers. And just, like, oh man. For any authors out there, for anybody who is on this writing journey, to have a full printed first draft of your first ever book and hold it in your hands to feel just how real it is a big difference. Because I have hundreds of pages of projects, of books, of ideas, of world building, all on my Google Docs, which have compiled and just built up over the years. But to finally have a full, complete written story from start to end, printed, just makes it all feel so real. And the thing about this story, it took me 3 weeks to write, and it's a story that takes place during a zombie apocalypse in the year 2000 in Boston, Massachusetts. I had no idea that that would be the first book that I officially do and finish a first draft for. And you know what? I couldn't be happier though because the initial idea for this story came from just ideas that I had at one time of just characters in a zombie apocalypse. And there are three main influences that I have for this book that have really inspired me. The first one is, well, the first two are video games, being Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. I played those all the time in college and they were so much fun playing with your friends. And the other video game is Project Zomboid, which is like a zombie survivor simulator. But the third big influence on this book is a board game called Dead of Winter, where it's a board game that you play on the tabletop with your friends, and you pretty much have to survive X amount of rounds during a zombie apocalypse. And it's like it can be a lot of fun if everybody's really into it. It has a lot of open-ended narrative situations. So those three books, or those three medias, I should say, were the big influences for this book. And it started out as just having ideas for characters in a zombie apocalypse. I had no idea what was going to become of it, if I was ever going to do anything with it. But a couple weeks ago, I just started like just looking through some of my older documents, and that was there. And then I was like, maybe there is a story here. So I just started plugging away. And the way that I wrote this book was doing a chapter by chapter outline summary of, okay, well, what happens next? What happens next? What happens next? Because I had an end in mind that I wanted to happen. So I was like, all right, well, if we have an end in mind, how can these host of characters that we've created get there? And so we just went with it. And as we went along on the writing process, I used Google Gemini to just ask like research questions about like technology that was common in this time. I was just doing a bunch of research on the internet of like just zombie story video game tropes that people like and don't like. And so like this story focuses a lot on I would say the human potential of hope, because I wanted a story that was overall optimistic, because that is what I find very important and very helpful. So this is if you want to read a zombie story that follows a host of characters that go through this amazing ordeal and it has an optimistic tone overall, this is the story for you. I hope. So I'm going through my first round of drafts. Sorry, my first round of edits on my first draft, and I have already given it to some buddies of mine to just kind of act as my beta readers to give me some feedback and let me know how they like the story. Most importantly, it's did you feel bored at all during the story? Did you feel really engaged? Were any characters really interesting or really boring? Because I'm mostly looking at the narrative side of this. Because once that's done and taken care of, and I have some good feedback to build from, then the next step is going to be to finish my round of my round of editing, and then I'm going to look for a publisher who's going to look at it also from that narrative perspective, but also be able to give me feedback and input on like proper sentence structure and making sure that it's comprehensible for my target audience. Because that's where I know I personally lack in that like technical side of writing, where it's like, well, you wrote this in like present tense, but then you wrote this in past tense. It's like it's a little off-putting for readers. So I just want to make sure that it's as legible as possible for my target audience, which is essentially young adults and over. Because there are some themes in this book that revolve around alcohol, around cigarettes, tobacco, and very, very, very little bit of sex. So I wanted to focus mostly, like I said, on the survival, on the optimism, on the overcoming of this epic story. So yeah, that's really all I have to share for my video this Friday. And I just want to kind of hold it up again because I'm so proud of it. Don't mind my dishes. But yeah, here it is, 232 pages. I used up all of my ink in my printer. That's okay because that's exactly what the printer was supposed to be used for. So it did its job. And I'm going to get some more ink for it later. Just that way I can probably print out the next draft of it. So I'm really excited. It's been quite a journey to get here. It took me 3 weeks to write this book, but it took 13 years to be able to get to that point. So I hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned. I can't wait to share more details about my writing journey. And I'm just going to be putting more videos more often about me as an author, what I get inspiration from, how I work, etc., etc., etc. And we'll see what else happens. So, yeah, thank you so much. Have a great